Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Leslie Hendrickson or L.M. Hendrickson, and I want to first go over my first book, which is The Boda Boda Driver, a Tanzanian Experience. I wrote this book when I arrived in Tanzania. The first time I set foot on the soil of Africa. I am an American, born and raised, and had always had a love of Mama Africa that had been instilled in me from hearing the angry words of people in my class telling me to go back to Africa. And at the time, it was spoken with derision and and anger. But what it did for me was create a space for me to do research and understand and learn that Africa is a place where I could call home and where my ancestors came from. And so during COVID, when people were staying in place in America, I decided to hop on a plane and visit Africa and ended up staying for a couple of years. And while I was there, I had the pleasure to experience the different things of that country, um, of the countries that I visited, excuse me. Africa is a continent that's made up of a lot of countries. One of them was in East Africa in Tanzania, and I did speak about my book. And then my second experience was in Senegal. The larger part of my time in Africa was in the Gambia, and it was in the Gambia that I stayed and built and did a lot more writing. The second book that I have in my Come to Africa series is my experience I did taking a lion tour. It is called The Lion Tour, a a a Senegalese experience. I want to read a couple of pages to you and show you what I try to do. This is a book for adults or parents to read to their children. So you will be getting some education involved. You get to see the map of Africa and the location of the country that I am referring to. You get to understand where Africa, Senegal, it says here, West Africa, officially the Republic of Senegal, is the westernmost country in West Africa, situated on the Atlantic Ocean coastline. And then there are other things you can read about Senegal itself. And there's also the map. So my book can be used for educational purposes as far also along with being an entertainment tool. So for most people, if you asked if they would be willing or ever had the idea to walk with lions, they would probably say no. They'd be like, something must be wrong with you. There's no way I could do it. And even though I did it and shared my experience with family and friends, they were telling me, I'm happy that you had this experience. Please don't ever do it again. The funny thing is, while in the Gambia, I met so many other people who did the Lion Tour. And so my story is not just about my story. My story is for those who also walked, but it is a story for those who could imagine walking, and it's also a story for those who have a fear and think I could never do it. I want to share some of my experience with you. I'm going to read a few pages of the Lion Tour. So as I'm thinking about what I wanted to share with you, I was not a author from birth, or I don't get paid to write books. I write books out of a love, but I am a legal secretary. I was retired and now I'm back in that field again. The exciting thing is I have always written poems from when I was a teenager, never knowing that I could take those poems and connect it with pictures and illustrations and make it into a book. And so one of the things I like about both of my books, I was able to meet a wonderful illustrator, sorry, named Nixon, who is in Tanzania, and he has done the work for both of my books. And as long as I continue writing children's books, he will be the illustrator for those books. I do have a third book that I have already put on paper and the ideas in my head, and that should be coming hopefully in 2026. So one of the sections of the book that I want to share with you is about the experience that most people get. My first experience to get the idea of walking with lions happened when I saw videos of other people on YouTube walking with lions. And I did share that in my poem. I wrote, I had seen enough videos so I knew what to expect, but there was no preparing me for what would happen next. From the Gambia to Senegal, I knew we were near. When I saw the big lion sign, it read, "You are here." On the way to the reserve, I thought I looked a mess. So I went into the bathroom to change into African garments to impress. Then it goes on to say how the lion tamers were there, and he shared with us how to listen to and follow his instructions. So as you go through the book, you do get a wonderful sense of my experience and what you could experience as you decide to take a tour in Senegal to walk with lions. There was one part where it states in the end, it says, I continued my walk with the lions and didn't worry about a thing as I took on the spirit of the African queen and I walked fearlessly behind the Lion King. The Walk with Lion Tour, a Senegalese experience, is available on Amazon. It is in paperback form and also in ebook. I hope you enjoy the Senegalese experience. If you have this opportunity, go ahead and check out my Tanzanian experience as well. As I travel to Gambia, Tanzania, and other places in Africa, I will continue to share my story and hope to make you a part of the audience too.
Thank you very much, LM Hendrickson, for joining me on this edition of the International Book Show Virtual Book Tour. She is the author of the books called The Boda Boda Driver, A Tanzanian Experience, and The Lion Tour, A Senegalese Experience. Those books are available to be purchased via Amazon. On display at the moment, you can see the photo of the front cover of Leslie's book, The Lion Tour, A Senegalese Experience. She is also the author of the book called The Boda Boda Driver, A Tanzanian Experience, and those books by LM Hendrickson are available to be purchased from via Amazon.